This is the last session for today. But all that stands between you and the party at the Space Museum is Martin and myself. I can assure we will not need the full hour.
Yeah,
because live patching is so smooth, the demo will happen like in 5 seconds. But we built some stuff around the demo just to keep you excited. My name is Hannes Kühnemund. I'm a product manager at SUSE. I have responsibilities for a couple of products like Yast, Snapper, Super, / for SAP applications, and live patching. And with me is Martin.
Yeah. Hi, Martin Zikmund. I'm a pre-sales engineer in Czech Republic and Slovakia. I'm covering most of the SUSE products, and I used to work for SAP for about 5 years doing SAP HANA, so that's kind of my background.
Yeah. Martin takes care of the demo. He's experienced with SAP, but more to that later. Some of you, for the next slide, some of you might know those slides. I mean, this gentleman here, you've been in the other live patching session, maybe you know some of those. Anyway, we have to go through the slides, a quick business overview, maybe 15 minutes, and then we can switch to the demo. Who in this room is using SAP software? What is the rest doing here in this? Oh, it's like But anyway, maybe you become fans of SAP software when you see how live patching helps those systems staying up. But just from a perspective of how important SAP systems are, there are a couple of examples here. If your company is in some of the transactional revenue, like 74% of the world's revenue going through SAP systems. There are SAP systems power analytics that track 6 billion stock trades per day. That's a lot. That's a lot. Most important for me, 77% of world's beer is produced by SAP customers. 77%, that's a lot. That's hella lot. Half of that is drunk by Germans and Czechs. And of course, lots of customers flying around the world, and also SAP systems fly 1.7 billion customers. So those are important systems. And what is important about those systems? They need to be available all the time, because I mean, anything that has to do with aviation, anything that has to do with stock trading, I mean, the world will not break if your company cannot trade stocks or so, but there's monetary things happening if you don't do that. Same for transaction revenue, and more important, beer. If beer cannot be produced with a major outrage. So again, those systems are important. You don't want to have those systems being unavailable. However, you want those systems being secure on the other hand as well. But when you keep those, if you want to keep those systems secure, at some point in time, you need to patch those systems. Because there are security flaws announced. There's no such software that is error-free. There is software, and software has errors, full stop. So there's like the paradox where like you want to have those systems available all the time, and on the other hand, you want to have the systems really, really secure. Talking about security, it's just, I mean, the data is a little bit old. It's probably not 75 after the Yahoo thing. It's at least 76 data breaches where more than 1 million data sets have been stolen. And those were made public. And those are data sets like credit card information, your address, email address, that's not like a big deal. You get a lot of spam anyway. But your home address, social security numbers, credit card information, that's information you don't want to have in the hands of some obscure hacker group in a country that is on the blacklist. Those are the publicly disclosed ones, but there are probably much more not disclosed because the company does not have to disclose those. Maybe it's a privately held company, different regulations. And this is actually the scary thing, because on how many web pages is your email address and card information? A lot of pages. I actually have lost track of that. I don't know. How about you? Do you know on which pages your email address and personal data is stored? You just wonder from where all the spam is coming from, right? So security is very important. And just looking at the statistic here, on that slide, I want you to keep 3 numbers in your mind, or 3 facts. The first is depicted on the upper row. More software means more bugs. The number of bugs listed on the National Vulnerability Database, which is tracking all those bugs, is increasing. There's a small bump in 2011, but apparently we are now at 8,822 bugs in 2015. When I presented this slide last year, I predicted 8,500, and actually we landed at 8,800. So the number of bugs is increasing. And why is that? Anyone want to do a wild guess why the number of bugs is increasing? Yes? Fuzzers. What are fuzzers?
Fuzzers are automated tools to search for memory handling issues. And yeah, since we have observed that through the emergence of tools become easier, more vulnerable.
Okay, okay. So those vulnerabilities have been in the software all time long, but we just find them now easier. That's one explanation. The other explanation is that software is now written by much more people. I mean, in the past, you had a PhD degree to write software because it was assembler. And you had to know what you were doing. And then came Java with the garbage collector, and everyone could write software, even like an economy student. Now, this is happening. So writing software has become more and more easier. The average, I mean, this is one of the examples I always use. And last year, of all those OpenStack developers, 48% were developing OpenStack for six and more years. So half of the OpenStack developers were very seasoned. 48% of those developed OpenStack for 6 and more years. This year, this number dropped to 40%. Why is that? Did those folks stop programming? No, a lot of new folks came in with not as much experience, so the percentage dropped because there are just more developers. And a junior developer just makes mistakes. That's what it is. So keep in mind, and I don't want to be like this, like a dystopic future here, but number of bugs are increasing. Second fact, if we look at the distribution of the vulnerability type, the operating system is still one of the primary target vector. Why? I mean, if you have the operating system, you have the application anyway. That's it. If you can root, or if you have access to the Android kernel, I mean, this SE Linux thing they have and all the applications they create doesn't really matter. That's why the operating system is still one of the main attack vectors. And in the operating system, of course, Linux kernel now, this is the third fact you want to miss. I mean, that Ubuntu is on place 3. Don't remember that. Only the Linux kernel counts. It's placed number 11. Any guess why you think Apple is on the first place, Microsoft on the second? More users, maybe more inexperienced users. Because if you know Linux and all those stuff, you know how security works. You have ad blockers. You don't click on the attachments. iPhone user, bam, open it. Yes, open it. Because also the iOS doesn't give you much of information about that. So again, Linux kernel still placed 11th place, and there were 77 vulnerabilities for the Linux kernel. Let's keep that number 77. So a quick downtime quiz for all of you who did this quiz in the other session. I mean, you can still answer the questions. So looking at the cadence from a planned downtime, happens monthly, quarterly, yearly, of course. It happens on the weekend, usually, because there's less interruption on the business. Again, we want to have those SAP systems up and running all time because they produce beer and do the stock trade. Obviously, it's in alignment with all the stakeholders because it's well planned ahead, so all the stakeholders know, okay, there's downtime, I don't do my travel expenses on the weekend. So anyway, you do basically a combination of tasks. So you might clean the AC, or you do cleaning the floors, you exchange hard drives, you install patches. So you can combine a couple of tasks because you have 48 hours where you can do the stuff. And they're, for example, optimizable, for example, with the SUSE manager, when, for example, you want to patch systems that can be automated with SUSE manager. So now it's you, I need your help. Talking about unplanned downtime, what's the cadence of unplanned downtime? Yeah, basically there's no cadence. They just appear when you don't need them. So talking about not needing them. So when planned downtimes are on the weekend, when is the unplanned downtime? On Christmas Day. Because then the administrator has to fix it. Literally, unplanned downtime can happen anytime. And of course, it's not in alignment with all the stakeholders because It just happens, and then in a day or two, you have to get it fixed. There's no way to align with all the line of businesses and users doing that, using the service. Planned downtime is using a combination of tasks, so a combination of tasks is outperformed for planned downtime. Unplanned downtime, it's just one particular problem that is fixed, which caused the downtime, usually. If you have something else piled up, you might do that as well, but usually you just do one thing. Yeah. And it's optimizable with various technologies. For example, uninterrupted power supply can help if PG&E digs up again some of the cables. RAID systems, obviously, your hard drives are usually secured through RAID systems. Load balancers are an opportunity to do that. If the application supports a load balancer, load balancers can help. Virtualization can help, like VMware fault tolerance, where you have an identical copy running of a VM on another host. HA, Geo is a possibility, system rollback. But all of those technologies help avoiding unplanned downtime, but none of those help if there's a zero-day exploit. None of those. If there's a security thing coming up, you need to patch the software, and those things don't help. And actually, with live patching, we have an answer for that available. So if we have a way of balancing, like one side is security, and the other side is having no downtime. Who will win? Usually, security wins. Usually. But again, for an SAP system, that's pretty bad. I mean, it's good to have security in the SAP system, awesome, but that, on the other hand, also means downtime. Bad. Bad for us. So, not sure. We still have slides, cool. So a couple of examples where live patching makes sense and doesn't make sense. Behind those 4 playing cards, there are pictures of institutions or examples where live patching might make sense or doesn't make sense. And this is again a quiz for you. I would like to have your input here. First, the NASA telescope on Mount Palomar. They are using SUSE software. But would that be a good fit for live patching? What's your guess? Yes or no? No. No. Why? Correct. They have the entire day when the sun is shining to patch their systems. And labor isn't more expensive during the day. Actually, it's normal labor cost. It's very easy for the telescope folks to patch their systems during the day. They can do all day long downtimes. Second picture depicts the Google data center in North Carolina. So we can use it as the Google data center, or at least a data center that you have, where you have thousands of servers or thousands of virtual machines. Is this a good example for live patching or not? No. So, I would say. The Google one, of course, is not a good example because they have a stateless application running on top of it, like web servers and email servers. If one fails, doesn't matter. They could actually roll the update through. They can patch a couple of systems sequentially. It does not have any impact on their service after all. If you, for example, think this is a large server farm where you have either a simulation running for 2 months, or you have thousands of virtual machines running proprietary software, which is actually not stateless, but like something like Oracle or SAP, live patching would make sense because you don't want to patch 10,000 servers in one day, or you don't want to interrupt your simulation that is running because, I mean, it's at 99%, and then IT says, security says, oh yeah, you need to reboot those servers now because of this important patch, and 2 months of calculations are gone. So again, so. Depends on the application running on top. I think this is a pretty easy one. Desktop, laptop. Nah, doesn't make sense. I mean, unless it's again like a high-octane workstation where you render stuff or so, maybe, but not really. And then SAP HANA, of course. It's a good case, of course. It's a good case for live patching. Just from the amount of memory that is in that system. I mean, not to speak from the CIO or CTO who is actually really pissed if on his iPad he cannot get the actual numbers of, or so the sales numbers. But just considering that box, 12 terabytes of memory. If you boot that, how long it takes to initialize the memory before grub comes? Like 40 minutes, maybe? Yeah. Because, yes, another file system check, because that could be the case. But even after the initialization of the memory, you need to load, let's say, 12 terabyte from disk back into memory, because you have to start up HANA. So for the math cracks among you, 12 terabyte of data from a disk that reads with 500 megabytes per second, how long does it take? 7 hours. I prepared that, sorry. But you can check that now. So 12 terabytes, 500 megabytes per second, just do the math. 7 hours until the data is read back into memory. 12 terabytes, 500 megabytes per second. Of course, you can have a better storage, like 1 gigabyte per second. It's still 3.5 hours. So you want to consider having live patching these situations, because you don't have the time to reboot that thing, and you don't want to make your CEO unhappy when he has a board presentation and cannot access the numbers on his iPad. Coming back to those systems, of course, all of those are important. We discussed that. But coming back to the third number, 77 kernel issues or kernel bugs found in 2015. Out of those, how many do you think are critical or have a high rating? Ballpark number? Yeah, 40%, 40 to 50% of those are high severity, which means a high severity 6 or higher is either a local root exploit, denial of service, or bypass access restrictions. Those are the 3 categories they are usually in. So it's not like the kernel is providing a wrong number when you enter uptime. I mean, okay, the world doesn't break, but those things are there. So 30 to 40 bugs per year in the kernel with a high severity, which would request you to, if those coming sequentially, to reboot and install a new kernel every 10 days. It would force SUSE to provide a new kernel every 10 days. So live patching can help you, because instead of having like a new kernel, a live patch can be made available. And I think that's it from my side.
Yeah.
And I will hand over to Martin to do the demo.
Okay, so I've prepared a short demonstration. Basically, imagine current situation. So you have your SAP ERP running on top of // for SAP. And then, of course, you have some SAP clients. So it can be accountants in a financial comparison. It can be guys doing the sales, entering the sales orders. It can be basically guys doing the planning for the manufacturer. So it can be different kind of users. So on the side of the SAP ERP, you have the admins, which most of you are on this kind of side, which task is to keep the system up to date and secure. So this is your task. You want to keep it up to date, secure, and that's what you care about. On the other hand, there are the users. In this case, I took an accountant, and his task is to do, for example, in this case, end of the year closure. Because you have end of the year, you have to reconcile all the books and basically provide some kind of final number towards your management, towards the authorities. And for example, in Czech Republic, if you fail to provide a final number regarding your company to a certain day, then there's a penalties, and it can be several millions dollars if you don't provide a number in time. And usually there's not so much time at the end of the year, because you basically need to wait till the end of the year. Then you can finally start doing the reconciliation, and the deadline is quite close, so you don't have much time. So this is the scenario which I will present on my laptop. So basically on my laptop I do have SAP ERP, I have SAP GUI client, which is web GUI, just to have it on one laptop, and I will do a dual role. So let's have a look. Okay. So this is my VMware. So VM. All right. So just to prove, you can see this is my SAP instance. It's up and running, nice and smoothly. Also, what I do have is the SAP GUI, so SAP client. I will just log in. So when I will be in this window, I will be pretending that I'm the accountant doing the end of the year closure. But let's start from the beginning. So right now I'm IT administrator and I have received information about the bug. So there's a critical vulnerability issue. Basically this exploit is a little bit older, but in the end it was providing, let's say, ability to the attacker to gain the root access right. So basically as a normal user you could issue series of commands, and in the end you would receive the roots. Right, so let's simulate it. Sorry, typo. So I would do this command, and at the end you see I got root access. So basically now I'm the root, and I can do whatever I want with my machine. Or it's not my machine, I'm a attacker, so with somebody else. That's not really nice. In the same time, you have the accountant, so I'm changing the role. And as accountant, I have this quite nice list of totally 73 tasks or transactions which I need to run in order to be able to close the books. So right now I'm in this step 27 and I'm doing the internal posting. So I need to run a report which reconciles all the postings. So let me go to my SAP and start doing the transaction, generate some reports. So basically now you have a long list of different reports. I will just deselect a couple of them because otherwise it would take quite long to generate all those reports, so we can see the results in the end. So I'm happy, and now I'm let it generate it. All right, but in the same time now my IT admin came and told me like, hey, stop, I have to shut it down. You know, I have to apply this patch so we can have secure servers. I don't give a shit. Sorry, that was not good, but that's the truth. So I would go, and as an administrator, I would use the live patching. So basically, come on, I will go to my patch management, and I would search for the patch for my problem. So in this case, we have here prepared the patch. Here is the CVE, it's the same of which I was displaying. So basically now I can accept, and installation process is happening. So now it's installing the patch for my issue. Just in the meantime, I can show you the report is still running. So as an accountant, I have no idea that my IT admin is doing something on my server. I'm just waiting till my report is finished. So because it takes some time, you know, it goes through the complete SAP ERP, doing the financial closures of orders, of costs and everything. So I don't know. But in the same time, here on the background, my IT admin is doing the patching. So both of the tasks take about a minute. So let's wait for a while till they finished. And then we will check again the same command, the same situation in the beginning, and we will see that the patch is applied, which is right now. So if I will go back here, I'll just log out as admin and run the same command. It's patched. So the system is completely patched. There's no security vulnerability anymore. And if you go back to my SAP accountant, he's still generating the report. He's fine. He's waiting, and now it's done. So the system is patched. All the reports are green, so we can see there's no inconsistency in the SAP. The SAP even didn't have any clue that something is happening. So basically, it was running the transaction. It was getting all the data from the databases, calculating, doing everything. Everything finished without any error. In the same time, I was applying the patch for the kernel. You could see that there was an issue. After the patch, the issue is gone. So that's basically the whole simulation and how it works in the real reality, in the real life.
Then let me take over again. I think that's a fantastic demo. And the next question that I got in another session was, is it certified by SAP? And let's look at an architecture diagram, how you would depict that if you have an operating system layer somewhere lower in the stack and the SAP layer somewhere on top. And if SAP now changes the business process in their ERP, is it like we from SUSE say, oh, SAP, you need to certify this business process with us because you run on our platform? It's not going to happen. And the same happens when we do something in the kernel that SAP is just like, okay, you folks should know what you do. So there's no certification of live patching whatsoever. However, in this /12 installation note from SAP, there's a description what steps you need to do on the system to enable live patching, and it says that it's okay to use, and if something breaks, it's us to blame. but that never happened so far. So we are good to go here. Having said that, we have a couple of suggested sessions. You have that in your thing. The most important, before letting you go, we make a raffle. So what I have here are business cards, 20 business cards. And on those business cards is actually my name, just in case you have questions. There's a evaluation code. There's a code so that you can get live patching evaluation key, live patching evaluation key for 60 days. So you can get such a key anyway on our homepage. So for example, the dirty cow bug from 2 weeks ago, if you're really desperate and no SUSE sales guy is around, you go to our homepage, get the eval code for live patching, apply it to your system, and you get the live patch for dirty cow. Don't tell your sales guy, because he will then nag you about buying live patching afterwards. But anyway, the special thing about those eval keys is we track those keys, because what happens is if you take this key and register it, is this a pointer? Oh, a green pointer, that's cool. Register it on SAP-SUSECON with your email address, which you anyway probably already have with your SUSE account or some new account. I know that you got this key, or at least the email address you entered got the key here from SUSECON. You have to activate the code, and then the 60-day counter starts. In those 60 days, you are free to use live patching at your own discretion, or you can just leave it. I have no chance to track that. But you will enter a raffle for winning a 3 feet or 1 meter large plush chameleon. You can buy it in the shop already if you are keen to do that, or you try your chances getting here. Again, you sign up, the counter starts, you try out live patching. You need to add it to your, at least you need to activate it until December 31st. So you need to activate this by December 31st. And by that, you enter the drawing. So how it goes, the drawing will be on February 28th. Because I have all of your email addresses, I will send you emails about the drawing will start. I do this via Twitter, so you can follow me on Twitter. We do the drawing via Twitter. And the winner will be then contacted by email. The chameleon will go on a journey to the winner. And after receiving, the winner sends a selfie from him or herself with the chameleon back to us. So those are the cards. Anyone who wants can grab those after the session. Also, SUSE employees, if you want to try your chances, yes. But I think we should let our customers go first. And having said that, that's all from my side. Martin, anything you want to add on from you?
Well, I think it's all from my side as well. Just to really summarize, I think live patching for SAP really makes quite a lot of sense. And especially, as it was mentioned, if you use SAP HANA, then it's one of the even recommended, let's say, features by SAP. So it was not mentioned, but it's one of the recommended, let's say, settings or features which you can have for SAP HANA by SAP.
All right. Having said that, I relieve you. And if you're keen to try your luck, come to me and get one of those business cards. Thank you so much.
Thank you.